Let's talk about Ford reliability. So Ford's going to be working real hard. They're putting in overtime. They're going to be working hard to increase reliability and to increase production quality. So some bad news for some great news for, well, us, the consumers. So let's just jump right into this, put the pedal to the metal. I'm Johnny from Johnny's Car Care and Reviews. If you like content that really keeps you up to date with all the news, you just want to hit that like and subscribe button because, well, subscribe, you won't miss out on any future videos. And by hitting the like button, you are helping to get this information out there. So there's been a lot going on at Ford. First of all, there's going to be 8,000 pretty unsatisfied people. It's been decided that, well, some of the jobs aren't necessarily needed at Ford. So a lot of this is going to come down to office jobs. So 8,000 office jobs unfortunately being cut. So that is really unfortunate news. Also, the production manager at the Michigan factory for the Bronco and Ranger, well, that job has also been cut. Well, that person's, for some reason or another, it's going to be replaced. But we do know, if you've already received your Bronco or if you follow the whole Bronco story, you do know that there have been quality issues, really finishing issues in regards to the Bronco. There's some Broncos that their hinges, mostly I think almost solely, I've only heard and seen, I've personally seen 2 yellow Broncos that the interior door hinges, when you remove the doors, you notice they're not painted. My personal blue Bronco, the Badlands Bronco, it had the back tailgate. As soon as you remove the accessory plastic, well, that wasn't painted. And, well, like many, I also had the fluid for the windshield washer that was connected by a cable tie. So there's actually been more issues than that. There's also the whole top issue, and now I'd like to say on to generation 2 of hard tops. And while the hard tops had issues, they had, some of them were not color matched in between panels, others where it folds over, they just weren't finished, so water could get in and actually the top could expand. So Ford actually replaced those tops. They held back some Broncos, as we all know, to put better tops on them, and Broncos that had already been delivered, while they replaced the tops. And actually, millions of dollars have been put into Webasto by Ford, and Webasto, the plant factory for the hard tops themselves, have put in, if I'm not mistaken, $200 million to really get, well, more tops produced, more types of tops. So you can expect for 2023, it's pretty certain at this point we're going to see painted tops, definitely from the Heritage model. We'll see if the Oats model, this is a new model coming out, that's only going to be offered as a 2-door, that will likely also very likely have a painted top. Heritage Edition, painted top, and maybe with a Heritage Limited or Oats Limited, maybe that's when we're going to see something like, you know, the white top that originally a lot of us were sold right at launch back in 2020, summer 2020, we were sold on that painted white top. So I'll bring out more details on that when they're really confirmed and definitive. But we have seen, you know, uncovered photos pretty much of the Heritage Edition, and it's got a painted top. And that only makes sense. Basically, I suggest you look at photos of the F-150 Heritage, and it gives you a really good idea what to expect in regards to equipment and trim. Obviously, the Limited Heritage is just going to be an all-out luxe package, leather, full luxury model, so the big screen of course as well. And I expect the Heritage non-limited edition to be something probably that you can get, you know, maybe kind of like the Everglades, 8-inch screen, marine grade vinyl interior, but that you still get, or maybe even cloth, but you still get the look on the outside of the Heritage. So the F-150, we've seen those completely uncovered. That gives us an excellent idea. We can also expect painted hardtops. So Webasto is now up to making these hardtops, and they're actually making a whole lot of them. If you look at production numbers, the hardtop, now the factory of all Broncos that get made, the latest is that they are coming in at 62%. However, there's a lot of backlog to catch up on, and I'll make a whole different video on that about the whole news in regards to, well, probably the first couple months of production are going to go to producing 2021s and 2022 order holders as 2023. So to play catch up, does this mean dealers have more reason or less reason to charge markup? For those that do, well, we'll talk about that in a whole different video. I want to keep this relatively positive. So the relative positivity to all of this is, well, we're going to be getting, hopefully, the plan is much better quality, build quality. So they're going to have someone new running and managing the factory in Michigan. So Broncos and Raptors, and it's really, sorry, not Raptors, Ford Rangers and Broncos. The whole line of Broncos are made there. We can expect to have less issues. Like I mentioned, there's actually a list originally. I remember when I got my Bronco, I took possession with a checklist to see if it would have any of the issues so that I could then claim them. So I had a few issues, and some people had a few more issues. But all in all, I certainly don't want to seem like I'm complaining. I have absolutely loved my Bronco. I rate it 10 out of 10. You know, and I say 10 out of 10 because nothing's ever perfect. So yeah, the speakers on the Bronco aren't perfect, especially on a non-Bang & Olufsen sound system model. So if you don't have Lux, the speakers, well, they just get the job done. But those can always be swapped out. Now, let's talk about other things that Ford is doing to really fix some of these issues. Well, first of all, they're fixing issues when they hear about them. So we had the whole 2.7 liter blown engine issues. There was about 49 reported, and they were blowing issues because of a bad batch of valves. So the 2.7 liter V6 twin turbo engine, fantastic engine, but yes, bad batch of parts, their valves, they're breaking, they're causing catastrophic failure on so far 49 Broncos, maybe a few more since then, but I haven't seen any more stories about that. And that's in the past because what they do, well, they corrected things with the supplier. So you can always, when you're on top of things, you can always just straight up change suppliers or make sure that, well, they get the recipe right for the valves they deliver you. So Ford's working hard on catching these things. They also did 49,000 recalls on the Mach-E in June in regards to parameters for the battery to function under so that the internal connectors don't overheat and then crack. And then once cracked, well, the whole battery would then run hotter. So in regards to safety, in regards to avoid, problems long term, in regards to reliability, durability, and maybe even fires, they called a recall on 49,000 Mach-E's. They've done recalls on the Maverick, they've done recalls on the Expedition, and really this year they have done an incredible amount of recalls. And of course, the biggest problem would be just ignoring the problem. Then the next step is correcting the problem, which are recalls. So that's great. That's admitting there's an issue and paying to fix the issue. And really, Ford, their goal is to be a leader in regards to quality. So they've hired someone to do that exact job. So here's the good news. CEO Jim Farley has recently placed really a lot of importance on quality. So they want quality in regards to the product being put out there. So they've hired a former JD Power Vice President, Josh Halliburton, as their new Executive Director of Quality. And really, they want to go back to the high quality that Ford was offering in the 80s and 90s and prior. So they really want to focus on being a leader when it comes to quality. And that straight out of Halliburton's words, out of his mouth, we can quote, Josh Halliburton has straight up said, we want to be a quality leader. So this is really great news for us because so far Ford has 46 separate recalls on 6.8 million vehicles. So that's this year alone. So Ford's going to work really hard on getting us better quality. Really how Josh Halliburton plans on doing this is he wants to really identify problems right on the build line. So they're installing video cameras to really catch flaws in production as the vehicles are being built. That way, if they need to, they can shut the factory down, shut the line down immediately, fix the problem, move on, which I find really interesting because Toyota actually has a whole system where in their factories, employees are encouraged to hit that shut down the line button when they see a problem that needs to be resolved. So they're not shy at shutting down the line and then working on fixing it. So production at Toyota, when a new vehicle first comes out, can be painfully slow. For not just days, not just weeks, it can be painfully slow for months until all the kinks are worked out and then the factory works at full pace at 100% of its capacity. So it sounds like installing these cameras, I highly suspect that this is going to be the goal. Shutting down the line when it needs to be shut down so that you don't have Broncos with, tailgates that aren't painted or door hinges or heck, the windshield washer fluid cup being held up by just a little cable tie. And once again, bad tops. I'm not complaining about my Bronco whatsoever. I'm thrilled and I'm extremely fortunate to have gotten one. I am absolutely thrilled. And, I did make sure from the beginning to be, trying to give out the best advice possible about shopping, far more to no longer be concerned really about shopping the vehicle in the sense of trying to get it below MSRP, but shop the right dealer by asking, how many allotments do you get of Broncos for the year versus where am I on your list? So that's the question I've been saying you need to ask since last spring, really since last January or February, and not of this year, sorry, 2021, started making videos really to talk about that specific topic. That was one of my main purposes. So I do always try to be as helpful as possible. So if you do feel that I've given you a hand in the past or now, please do hit that subscribe button. It does help feed and dress that poodle. And I'm going to cover one last quick subject before signing off. Now, while Ford is focusing on quality, you could really call this whole video plant woes or issues at the Ford factories. So they're focusing on quality. They're putting cameras in the factories. Now I really, right on the lines to identify problems, I really hope they save some cameras for the actual parking lots. Because if you recall, earlier this year, this year, 2022, in case you're watching this video later on, 15 Raptors got stolen from where they sit while they wait to be, put on transport to be brought to be put on the train. So Raptors, just 15 of them. That's a ton of money. That's almost, it's about $1 million. And this isn't the first time that it's happened. It's also happened over at Dodge. So automakers know that, every so often, someone just rams down that gate and goes and steals vehicles. And because, now more than ever when we're waiting such long periods of time, and this is worse for Raptors. Raptors are unbelievably rare. A lot of dealers are only going to get one. Some dealers are going to get 4, and maybe absolutely huge dealers will get 10 per year. But a lot of dealers will get 0 or 1 Raptor for an entire year. So imagine if that's your Raptor. So let's just hope Ford doesn't just put cameras in at the factory. Let's hope they put more in the parking lot and maybe an armed guard or 2. So that's how I want to conclude this video. Improvements coming to Ford, and if Ford really pulls this off and does become a leader in quality, well, this means they're going to be spending less money on recalls. And if they do trim 8,000 jobs, office jobs, then I can only see the value of Ford as a company going up on the stock market. So I'm going to be really curious to see what happens to Ford stock in the next 24 months. I'll be watching that very closely. Now, I'd love it if you could drop a comment. What do you think Ford? Do you think Ford is going to pull this off? Is quality going to go up? Are we going to see less problems on our Broncos? For example, I haven't really seen any problems with the Maverick. That's being actually built really well from what I've seen so far of the ones that have, that I've maybe the 15, 20 of them. Oh, actually over 20. Somewhere between 20 or 30 Mavericks easily that I've seen pass through my hands. They've been pretty good. The Broncos, on the other hand, a few more issues. Ford hasn't said why the plant manager is being replaced, but I've seen enough Broncos to say that I can definitely say that they're not all being pumped out looking, completely spot on perfect like the Mavericks. So I do thank you very much for watching this video. Please do comment. Do you think Ford's going to pull this off? Do you think the stock's going to go up or down? And if you made it this far, just put in finisher. So I'm going to sign off, wishing you all more cars and more power. I do really hope you get a build date and your vehicle delivered soon, which will be the next topic on the next video. We'll be talking all about Bronco and Maverick deliveries and how early production is really going to be focused on building Bronco and Maverick orders that have already been sitting in the system, and what your dealer absolutely needs to do. So I'll be a bit of a reminder, so likely coming in with the live on Friday at hopefully 7:30 p.m. and I'll be very thankful if I see you there. So take care and see you on the next live.